Hi everyone, welcome back to the Ministry of Guitar. And as you can see, today I'm not alone. I have two guests with me. And the reason is this. We're going to start something new, something exciting. We're going to start a podcast. I am just one person. I have a very limited perspective. The two folks sitting next to me, I think they have probably owned much more guitars than even me. At least this person.
No, nobody owns more guitar than you.
Anyways, so this is episode 1. We're going to cover a wide variety of topics, and today, just to get started, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask each of these folks. We've got Ker Liang to my right.
Hi guys.
We've got Zac to my left, and I'm going to ask them two questions. What is the favorite guitar that you have, and what is the favorite guitar memory of your life?
Okay. Yeah, well, so basically I have my Dingwall bass, which is a Z3. It's a model that is a custom shop model from Dingwall that is totally awesome. I got introduced to it looking at some YouTube videos, and actually it has parallel frets, which makes actually the bass sound better because of the scale length. So that's my current favorite because I use it in all my recordings. I do some covers or even original
Does
music.
a bass count as a guitar? I guess.
Yeah, of course it's a bass guitar. It's a bass guitar.
It does.
Yeah, and of course, my overall favorite guitar is the PRS Custom 24. I think no introduction is needed. It's
Which one of you have? How many customers?
I think I have 4 or 5. But
And all of them
yeah,
private stocks?
not all of them are private stocks, but
Really?
yeah, there's one 1989, I think. So that's not a private stock.
Yeah, the 89 is a nice. I mean, the original ones have a very particular sound.
Yeah, they sound different, but
Yeah.
in general, I think the playability and the design of the guitar is it's perfect, right? And it just works for me. It works for all kinds of music. Yeah. So those are the two. Well, it's supposed to only say one, but
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Nice. What about you, Zac? Since we have a lot of PRS love happening over here, in fact, most of the comments on my channel is, why do you only talk about PRS? What's your favorite guitar?
Oh, the guitar that I played the most recently is a PRS.
Great.
Okay, yeah. But like the question is like your favorite guitar, right? Then I was
Past and present, right? Think
past
of
and
all,
present,
the guitars that you own.
So this is a very vast topic, right? So I kind of narrow it down, So okay, so what if like very easy? There's an island guitar. If you can have only one right now, what would you pick? No question. Okay, it would be my 1959 Stratocaster. Okay, supposed to be vintage and old. Yeah. So the thing about it is that I noticed what is called mojo. When you say that people say that guitar is a mojo. Okay, it's like there's a ghost inside. It's like something like it plays itself. That is the guitar that I gravitate to. If I need to write something. Write a riff or something, it's just easier to come out. It's like there's a lot of music in that guitar.
Yeah.
And I know I know the sound very well, the 3 positions, how do you turn the knob, what does it sound like. It's just very comfortable to me.
Yeah.
And it disappeared. And I just play.
Having played that guitar of yours, what I did realize, because I think you had a 70s Strat at the same time.
At the same time.
And I remember the difference between the two of those guitars was just so distinct, right? I'm not much of a believer in vintage guitars, as a lot of us know, but that particular guitar that you're talking about, I have to give it to that guitar.
Yeah. I think that was a fantastic guitar, Zac. I think it was probably one of the best Strats that I've ever played. So, I can imagine why you like it so much.
Yeah, Strat is something very personal. I mean, like you get it, you touch it, you think that it fits you. That's that. And I really highly recommend anyone that likes a Strat to go and try out. When you find the right one, right, you suddenly loses all interest in getting to the next Strat. Unlike PRS, there's always the better one that's like coming.
Every year.
Every year coming to you.
Every year a better PRS.
Yes.
That is true.
Speaking about that, right? Recently, the PRS released the Custom 2408, which has the new pickups, which is the pulse pickups instead of the standard 5908s, right? Yeah. So every year a new one.
Yeah, and you're getting one of those, as far as I know. A special one. More to come.
Yeah.
More to come.
We'll see in the future.
We'll see in the future. How about guitaring memory? Zac, what's your favorite all the years of playing guitar?
Yeah, there's a lot of good memories and a lot of bad memories. But then if you have to pick one, which is like kind of interesting, right, would be during the time when I was in high school, there's a stage performance. Okay, I think this will resonate with quite many people. You know, you're young, you know, you want to go on stage and you know play to the audience, and then during the sound check, right? What would the headmaster say? Turn it down. Oh, it's nice, it's so good, you know, but you know, it's a bit too loud, you know. Can you turn it down? Then what do? You turn it down, right? And say, oh, is this okay? Cool, this is good enough. All right, bye. Then you start the show, right? That is how it's done.
That's how rock and roll is done.
Yeah,
That's how rock and roll is
that's
done.
the spirit of rock and roll.
Exactly, and then we brought the house down. And
This
then
was
when,
in Hong Kong?
No, it was in Canada.
In Canada?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So
Okay.
when we were playing, you know, I did turn and look at the headmaster, and she was like, yeah. So yeah, that was I think it would be a common memory to a lot of people.
I did that at the French embassy here in Singapore. It's a different story.
Exactly.
Ker Liang.
Well, I think just like what Zac said, I think that kind of first stage or your best performance on stage will resonate with a lot of people. I think it's also one of my favorite memories playing the guitar. But I think going back to the roots, right at the beginning of my guitar journey, I was a teenager, I think about 13 or 14 years old, and I went to my cousin's house, and he had a acoustic guitar there, and at that time we were listening to this wonderful band called Nirvana.
Oh,
everybody is
You've heard of
listening
that
to
one?
it. I guess some of you may have heard of it. I don't know.
The
but-
drummer looks familiar, right?
yeah, drummer is really familiar.
It's
really
really familiar.
Yeah. But anyway, there was this song that was in my head. It was called "Come as You Are."
Oh.
Right. So it has a very interesting bass line.
That's the guitar itself, no?
It's the guitar, but
I guess it's the bass
And
line,
I
yeah.
took the guitar and I played it from memory, and I tried it. It took me an hour or 2 hours to figure it out on one single, because I didn't know how to play the guitar. It was my first time, and that's actually my best memory, because it felt so wonderful that I could play something that was so familiar, was so popular. It was something that really excited me, and from then on, that's the start of my guitar journey.
Ooh.
It's funny that you mentioned Come As You Are, because for me, the first real song I played on guitar, so the first time I played guitar, I played 035, 0365, that's basically Smoke on the Water, but it's not the real Smoke on the Water. Because Come As You Are is essentially mainly on one string, though you do have to bring in the A string.
Yeah.
That's the first real song I learned, actually.
Oh, wow.
What a coincidence. Yeah. And when I managed to figure it, I mean, I used a tab, I didn't use my ears, but it was still an amazing thing.
Yes.
Good. Let's switch gears a little bit to present day. This week, what is your favorite piece of data? There's been a lot happening this week in guitar, let's just say that.
Yeah.
I made a couple of videos about it on the channel as well. What's your favorite piece of news? Zac.
Okay. Of course, it has to be PRS, right? No, actually, no. Yeah, I think there's another piece of news which
We'll
is.
put a PRS ban on
No, I mean like they did have some pretty good news.
which maybe I'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
So yeah, one of the more interesting I would say intriguing news is that Fractal Audio launched the new pedal that they call the VP4 Virtual Pedal 4, right? It just struck me that because it's so interesting that Fractal being like to me, I think they're like the head of modular, like they're the top guy, top dog in modular, and they're also the top dog in effects. Yeah, a lot of musicians, like those are heroes, Vibe, Metallica, everybody uses Fractal.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I think. But this VP4 is technically a Fractal processor without the amp modelings, without the amps. It's just the multi-effects of those effects. Yeah, okay. So everything in the Fractal range, right, is all about modeling. And then, the models is so good, you add the effects, but this is just the effect.
Okay.
So the thing that strikes me is that why? They are the head of modular, they're the top modular. Why do they think they need to have a multi-effects processor that actually to supplement this actually is in the literature that says that it works with any other modulars? Why would me, being the top dog, feels that my customers are playing other items? So I think that is interesting. I would think that it has a lot to do with the batch of tone capture machines lately.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's very intriguing. So it can be an episode by itself.
Are fractals effects considered to be good? I don't
No,
have
they're
no
good.
experience with them.
They're
Maybe
good.
you guys
So
have.
so let's say Steve Vai, right? Okay,
Yeah.
he uses synergy, as
Okay.
his M
Yeah,
weak.
like you do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah.
but he uses fractal for the effects.
Okay.
Yeah, Metallica uses the M model as well. But
Yeah,
then
yeah.
like most, like John Mayer uses Dumbo, right?
Mhm.
But his effects he also uses fractal.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Oh,
I
if John Mayer does it, no wonder.
No, that's
Now people
interesting. I
maybe
didn't know
people-
that. Yeah.
yeah,
maybe people
So
buy it.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's not the only one. Of course, he also has clone and all that. But then the
Yeah.
like reverbs and delay. He would just let's just put it at fractal. So
Okay.
all those like big shot musicians, they will all use fractals effects. So I think that they would be pretty good.
I think that's really interesting BP4, right? I think having that kind of product, I think which works with real amps as well as other models, I think that gives many more options to guitarists. I have heard that like what Zac said, right? That actually these fractal effects are at the top tier.
Top of the game.
But I would like to maybe say that maybe we have quad cortex and camper and the rest like helix, right? That actually does amp simulation quite well as well, right?
Yeah.
And I think BP4 is also not the first pedal that not
Yeah.
the first multi-effect that does this. Helix had also released one product previously.
HX effects.
Yeah,
Yeah.
HS effects. That's only
Yeah.
for effects, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but okay, that's really interesting and really good for us. So for me would be something that a bit different from this. Going back to pedals, but it's also a pedal. So some of you, I don't know. I mean, just for info, I'm a really Chase Bliss fan.
Yes.
So
you are.
We know
I
that.
sort of like
We
a
know
collector
that.
of Chase Bliss
You should
effects.
cut in a picture of all your open boxes right about now.
Yeah,
Yes.
we'll
Unopened
get that,
boxes is the right word.
unopened boxes, correct. So recently, Chase Bliss released a very innovative, groundbreaking effect called its name is called Clean.
Clean.
Yeah. So if you
Okay.
were to Google, you
Yeah.
Chase Bliss Clean.
Pull it up. Yeah.
It is in a box, a stereo compressor,
Okay.
which you hardly hear of. Not even in.
I have to say the product design of Chase Bliss is always very nice.
Yes, they're fantastic at their marketing, right? They
Yeah.
put so many videos and so forth. But
Yeah.
the product itself is highly innovative. First of all, Chase Bliss has in the recent years has been releasing digital pedals.
Okay.
But the original core, the original motto was digital brain, analog heart. Which
Okay.
all the original pedals, the first batch
Yeah.
of pedals were all analog in nature.
Yeah.
And this is actually a throwback to their original motto, which is analog heart. And Clean is a 100% analog
Okay.
compressor, but it's stereo in nature. So basically, you can input a mono signal and get a stereo compressed sound on the left and right, which then feeds into a stereo chain in your pedal board. So aside from that, of course, Chase Bliss has its interesting things like the physics knob, which adds some dimension to the compression, and it goes even beyond compression to limiting, where it actually helps you to gain that kind of like sag from a tube amp.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
this compressor is a really innovative pedal. No other company has done this
Okay.
before. Yeah.
Interesting. So what's the benefit of having compression? So it's on your effects.
Well, you can use it both in front of your chain or after
Okay.
at the beginning, where you can, if you have a very spiky kind of like strat sound, you can actually try
As
to.
I'm trying to understand, so what's the benefit? So if I put a compressor in front of my chain, right, sorry, at the end of the chain, depending what I want to do, right? And then it goes into a stereo. The utility I'm seeing is maybe I can do something different with different sides of the stereo. When I have a stereo compressor, I want to compress one side. Is that the utility, or?
Well, yes, you can,
Yeah.
but I think in this case would be if you put it at the end of your chain, of your pedal
Yeah.
board chain.
Yeah.
One of the interesting ways to use
Yeah.
a stereo effect at the end
Yeah.
of it is to split the channel and then goes into two different amps.
Correct.
When we have two different amps, then you can mix and match the amps.
And you'll have different characteristics
Yeah,
that you want to.
correct.
Okay, I got it. Understand. Okay. Very, very good. Okay, so my favorite guitar use. I think it's pretty clear. I made a video about it, but I'm pretty happy with the updates that PRS has made towards SEs. And I really like them. I think we'll agree about it
Agree.
as well.
Agree.
And I'm going to call out three particular parts of it. So one is the most minor part of it, that they put the lampshade knobs. It's great to get lampshade knobs at that price point now. Even on my SEs, there's one sitting right here behind you.
Yes.
I just replaced with the lampshade knobs. The second one we were talking about, do we have to see them in real life to figure out how good they are? It is the charcoal cherry burst. And it's not about the color charcoal cherry burst. The entire point is PRS has all these crazy colors, aqua violet, northern lights, frostbite fade. They started off in private stock, then they made their way to Core, which is still a very expensive $4,000 or $5,000 guitar. Now, the very fact that they're signaling that they're putting it on a SE, even if it's a limited run, is a great thing. Imagine a run of frostbite fade, frostbite glow SEs. Oh my God, I would buy that.
Dragon Breath.
Dragon Breath. Yeah,
Yes.
right. Yeah. So it shows an amazing confidence of the company, right? Because if you think about it, to offer what is a premium feature. Now, people who know the difference between Core and SE, they know the difference, right? It's not the same thing. Quality of components, the best woods go into Core. It doesn't even have it has a proper maple, not just a maple veneer. But just the confidence to offer that is great. But my favorite news out of the three is really the SE Custom 24 Piezo. And you guys know semi-hollow. Oh yeah, of course you love this. I didn't notice that part as much. I like it because custom. So we go through all these different things. You need this guitar, that guitar, whatever. I think a Strat sounds like a Strat. Nobody can get beyond it. But for most of the other sounds, a lot of it can be gotten by many guitars. A PRS can sound like a Les Paul. A humbucker guitar sounds like a humbucker guitar most of the time. Right, so a lot of what we get into these fine tuning of all these tones, it's really mostly for us. It's not really for the person listening. But that's why I like the custom 24 piezo, which is what I use for my band, because I've got all the choices. Why do I use a custom 24 piezo? Because I need something. It should sound like an acoustic when it needs to. It should have a thinner, single coil sound, and it should have a humbucker sound. And it does it all, and it has a tremolo. Right, it can do anything. I can play Hotel California. I can play Bollywood. But functionally, there was no other guitar that could do that. If you wanted a guitar with piezo, humbucker, split, and a tremolo, you had to get a custom 24 piezo $4,000-$5,000 guitar. Now this is what, $1,600, $1,700?
Yeah, tremendous value for.
Tremendous value. So if anybody had to just buy a guitar and they don't want to think about what else to buy, you just want one guitar. I think that's it, right? Honestly, and custom 24s play pretty well. I mean, doesn't play as good as a Core. Yeah. So SE custom 24s. Semi-hollow piezo. And semi-hollow is great because semi-hollow, I think unless you're playing very hardcore metal, where you really need a lot of staccato, that kind of bite, it doesn't give you that, but for everything else, which is most people, 99% of the time, semi-hollow actually makes it nicer.
Right? One thing that is very important to me when I see it, right, is that other than just triggering down of core models in the SE, this custom 24 semi-hollow piezo model, right, is a model that Core doesn't have. Of course, if you spec private stock, you can have it. But if not, it's basically just a custom 24 with piezo.
You're right.
You don't get semi-hollow.
You don't have the semi-hollow.
You do not get semi-hollow. Yeah. And of course, all the bling, like matching headstock, all bindings that you don't have as well. So I think that's a really, really good thing. PRS is not only trying to get us cheaper core, although they are getting better and better, but they are also trying to say, okay, what we need for the players, maybe if the core doesn't have it, you don't stop there. Let's create that as well if we can.
Yeah.
Yes. And I also do have lampshade lobs on all my SEs.
Yeah.
I think to this point, right, is that I think there's no need to gatekeep certain features that can meet the price point.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you pay less for a guitar because it's made in Indonesia, because of all these features and colors fit into the price point, there's no need to gatekeep them. I mean, even if it's cheaper doesn't mean it has to look less than an expensive guitar.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The youngsters, the teenagers, they want to play nice guitars as well.
Yeah.
And I think this is a perfect approach to selling guitars, building and selling guitars.
And the other thing I'll say is, right, again, all three of us live in the developed world, right? So for us, a $1,500, $1,600 guitar, we think of it as an affordable guitar. Let me assure you, for the majority of people in this world, $1,600, $1,700 is. We were talking some other topics earlier today at breakfast. I was telling you the per capita income of India is about $2,000, right? That's an annual salary.
That's an annual salary.
That's not an affordable guitar.
Yeah, that's not.
So I'm so glad that at this price, but it's still attainable. It's the price of, you can either buy a motorcycle or you can buy a guitar. Frankly, that's what it is.
That is a very good perspective, actually.
Yeah. So either you buy, it's like, I remember when you buy a piece of personal transport, you take a loan, all of that. So let's put that in perspective. So I'm glad that if, say, there is somebody who wants to do music but who's living in a developing country with a developing country salary, what you would get. I mean, whether it's Indonesia, India, wherever, Africa, whichever country, it's great. You can have everything at that price point, right? Versus a core PRS is like a totally different price point.
Might be even unattainable for some.
So I'm so glad for that. It's democratizing a little bit features, as you were saying so well.
For sure.
Okay, so talking about features, right? I think we've owned between the three of us at least 200,
Too many guitars.
250 guitars.
It's unbelievable.
It's a little bit of a problem. Maybe we need to go into therapy. That can be a different conversation. But through remember all the features you've paid money for, something you have been waiting for, something you've tried. What is the most misconceived or rather most useless guitar feature that a lot of people either pay money for or think is good or they think is important? Some things are important, some things aren't important, right? So in your experience, what is the most overrated guitar feature or useless guitar feature that people tend to pay for? Ker Liang.
I think I have to answer this question a bit differently. I think I would say a non-mandatory feature on a guitar that many guitars have is actually the tremolo.
Tremolo.
Yes.
My God. What an answer is that?
It is actually...
it's going to get you 2,000 clicks.
It's good. It's good. To most people, including myself, use the tremolo a lot. But however, if you can think about Slash and how good he is at playing the guitar, he doesn't use any tremolo at all.
No.
So in terms of whether it is mandatory to have, whether you actually need it, I think it's not actually needed. But of course, depends on the style of music you are playing. And of course, if you have it and you can make use of it, very good, right? But that's basically what I think is the part of the guitar that is on many guitars but you don't actually need it.
Okay, I mean, what I would say is you have a very, very specific, it's amazing what you can do with your fingers without a tremolo.
Yeah, that's for sure.
There are very, very particular use cases that you need a tremolo, but I would say it's like you're buying something just for that 1% of stuff that you will use it for, unless you're using that 1% more often.
It depends on the play style,
depends on
the type of music that you play. But
I think it makes sense. Zach, how about you?
Well, I do love a tremolo guitar. Okay, I have a few guitars that has tremolo. But I mean, this guy knows I never put the bar in because I don't use the tremolo. But I love the low profile of it. Like I prefer it over the Les Paul. Tunomatics. But
and it affects the tone, right? So
it affects the tone.
With the tremolo, right? Even though you don't use it, right, it gives a brighter tone to the guitar. So that actually changes the tone that you get from the guitar as well. So while yes, you may not use it, but you can actually consider thinking about a tremolo guitar if you want a brighter tone, slightly brighter tone than a non-tremolo one.
There's some controversy on that, but let's don't dive into that. Let's talk about something else. Right?
So what is the useless
thing, right? Okay, I have a story to tell. There was a time, that I had a Les Paul, that I wanted to sell. It's a R9, it's a 59 ratio, right? And then the guy was asking, that truss rod cover looks interesting. I said, okay, I got it from somewhere, blah, blah, blah. Is it original? No. Okay, then you got a slash at $1,000 off. I said, what? A truss rod cover that doesn't come with the guitar, now it has a nicer one, and then you want to slash prices of it. Okay, what does it have to do? So to me, I think truss rod cover is one of the things, that it does affect the value per se, of a guitar. I don't know why, but I do not think that it has anything to do with how well it plays or how it sounds. And some guitars like Fender or Stramber, which I love, doesn't even have one. So to me that would be the.
You're right. Actually, what the point that you're making is this: when you turn something into memorabilia, rather than a tool, which is what is the case with Gibson Custom Shop, right? Ultimately, Gibson Custom Shop is charging significant amounts of money for small differences, right? Everything is a 59 Les Paul, but this is the Joe Perry Les Paul, this is the whatever Les Paul because of this slight variation in how the sunburst or whatever it might be, right? So that's why it is. I think that, and I've talked about this plenty of times on this channel. In fact, one of my most popular videos is on this particular bit of how I don't consider this to be very interesting as a guitar player. But something that I personally used to be obsessed with and I'm less obsessed with now, and I would love to get your take because I haven't told you guys what my answer is.
Okay.
Fretboard wood.
Fretboard.
I'll tell you why. I know where you're going.
Yes, I'm gonna go.
Because here's the thing, I was obsessed with, I always wanted an ebony fretboard because ebony feels smoother than rosewood.
Yes.
There is
That's
no
true.
doubt that ebony is a denser wood than rosewood. So I used to think this way. Then a few years ago, I did a blindfold challenge, which is before I started working on this channel. I put all my Les Paul style guitars, did a blindfold, did everything from my McCarthy 594 to the Gretsch single cut that I have to, everything, actual Les Pauls. And what I was surprised is the guitars that felt smoothest to me when I was doing blindfold were the guitars that had the nicest frets. So for me, the fret was affecting the feel a lot more than the fretboard would.
Have to.
Right? And we often focus more on this as a lot of people say, I wanted ebony on a fretboard because it feels smooth. To realize is with the right frets, the rosewood will feel smoother. So for now, there would be a time when if I wanted to buy something, I wouldn't buy it if it doesn't have the right fretboard wood. But now if the rest of the guitar is like, I'm not that obsessed with fretboard wood. I'm not saying it's a useless feature, but it is an overrated thing. I think and nobody would really always, some people will know, but a lot of people will not even know what frets they have on their guitar. Right? That actually makes a bigger difference.
I think I sort of agree, but unfortunately, I am into fretboard wood. I
so
think
you like
aside from the touch and feel, there's also a tonal difference, especially if you play clean.
Proper controversy now.
This is a long debated thing, right? Whether guitar woods actually affect the tone, and I can definitely tell you that it affects the tone. Well, maybe not in produce song or music, but maybe when you play live or when you play for yourself, I think the woods actually make a difference in how you affect how you play and make you, whether you like this guitar or that guitar. I think that's the difference.
And just by the way, just so that you know, right, because Ker Liang produces songs. What is your Taylor Swift thing? Is what, how many views now?
I don't know. I can't remember. Maybe for 20,000 views or something.
So you've been doing good. So I think people have been liking. So I mean, you actually, the mixes that you produce are really good, right? I mean, of course, you're a banker by day, sometimes by night also. You don't have too much time, but you don't know what you're talking about when it comes to production. Yeah, go ahead.
So back to the thing. Ebony is my favorite fretboard wood. I think it gives the best balance between treble and bass. Where maple and rosewood actually give a bit more contrast on the brightness and the bass of the guitar. So it's a good balance in between.
What do you think, Zac?
I can go on for more than 24 hours on this. So
I'll give you 3 minutes.
I'm really, really bad at overweight and summarizing. Okay, I've been doing really, really bad on that. So I'm not going to go into that. But one thing that, if for those viewers that you don't have not diverged into that information or that think about frets versus fretboard, I totally agree with Utkarsh. You should really study it. Like when you say, oh, this fretboard, feels good. This fretboard doesn't feel good. Most of the time it's just the frets. There are not a lot of people that plays actually, you play so hard that you're actually rubbing on the frets. That's not how the fretboard. That's not how it should be. So take a look at the frets.
And one more thing to add to this, right? Actually, you may, if you have opportunity to try stainless steel frets, right? They will feel super smooth.
True,
Yes,
very true.
And your strings will rust less.
Yes, very true. I want to probably do an entire segment on Tonewood, right? We're going to do a Tonewood special on this podcast because we need the 1.5 hours. Maybe this podcast probably got an hour long. We need double that for the Tonewood discussion. Yes. By the way, all three of us agree that Tonewood affects, but we have, let's just say, some disagreements which will be fettled out. Okay, I'm going to do something. This is something we're going to do every time. It's a 2-guitar studio.
Cool.
Using this collective brain power, this collective experience. And by the way, folks, please give us scenarios. I'm copying this off Chris Harris I'm into cars as well, and he does this 2-car garage. So this is a direct rip-off. This is called the 2-guitar studio. I'm going to read out the first one, but folks, please feel free to contribute in the comment section. You have just started work and are starting a band with some colleagues. Sounds good. Sounds familiar. It looks like you'll get a lot of gigs because there seem to be many work events. So good news. Unfortunately, the guitar that you had, a Squier Bullet Strat, your friend got drunk and he broke it into 2 pieces. True story, not a Squier Bullet Strat, but this happened to me just before I started work, just on our graduation party. Luckily, you have received an unexpected $1,000 $1,000 US bonus. Not bad. When you're starting work, that's a lot
Pretty
of
good.
money.
That's a lot of money.
I'll take it. You need to buy 2 guitars, one main and one backup, because you are the main guitarist. So you can't go out. You have to.
You can't break a string.
You can't break a string, right? So these guitars rather need to cover everything from Taylor Swift, because you have a lot of these Gen Zs, whatever they are called, in your crowd.
50s.
And then you have all these senior managers who like Hotel California, and then they like Sweet Child of Mine. So you need to cover everything. And maybe there are some people who like rap as well. You never know, right? So, and this guitar needs to be, it needs to withstand people coming on stage, because reality is you start playing Hey Jude and everybody rushes on stage and just starts swaying with the band. But on the other hand, imagine that you have to play in a formal event, it's an award ceremony or something. You still need the guitars. You can't have whatever that doesn't look right. So that's your scenario. What do you choose, Ker Liang?
Okay, so I think this is a very interesting question and scenario. Obviously, looking at the familiarity of yourself. I mean, because you played the Squire bullet strat, right? I think the most logical way is to just replace the Squire bullet strat with something similar within the $1,000 US budget. So buy 2 of the same, and I would recommend the Yamaha Pacifica. So I think
The HSS?
HSS. Yeah. So which gives you the flexibility. So HSS, for those that is uninitiated, right?
Yeah.
Actually single coil, and humbucker. So humbucker is at the back, and the humbucker actually allows you to play that very heavy rock tone. Whereas the single coils will let you do Taylor Swift.
2 Yamaha Pacificas.
2 Yamaha Pacificas.
It's very functional of you.
Maybe 2 different
Actually,
colors.
Please. Yes, okay. Okay. And $500 for a Yamaha?
It's about used. Well, new ones are about between.
These are made in where are they made now? The Pacific.
I think they are probably made in China or Indonesia. I don't know where they are, but my first guitar was actually a Yamaha Pacifica.
Okay.
And that time many years ago, it was actually made in Taiwan. My father bought it for me, so I was very happy and I played it a lot. And I think they are actually fantastic guitars for the price. Unfortunately, they have not been more popular than other brands, but I think they are really good guitars for this situation where you need 2 and you're already familiar with a Strat, with the tremolo, the sound of the Strat and so forth, and then you need that versatility for that. Using that HSS to get that rock tone when you go solos or when you need something heavy.
Okay. Zac?
Okay. Yeah, so I shouldn't be going to those parties that they can break my guitars into 2. So I think that was a bit too much partying. I play a Strat, like now that with this $1,000 I need to get 2 guitars, okay, I will assume that they need to be robust, and versatile enough, and then it has to look a little bit traditional and not too flashy, because we have CEOs coming at the same time, and then it has to, although looking traditional, but it has to play modern. That's kind of my assumptions, right? Okay, so for the for the backup guitar, okay, I would get one of my familiar Squire. That the model is called Sonic, okay, because it's the cheapest one. It's HSS, like what they both mentioned, right? We need the humbucker at the bridge. But that would be my backup. Okay, my main guitar would then, I need something more robust. I'm gonna get a SE NF3. Yes,
that's a good choice.
Yeah, that looks traditional. That looks like a Strat. It kind of plays like a Strat, but because of those narrow feel, right? It also gives you kind of like humbucker kind of sound, which I should be very familiar with, and it should take me to Swifties and Hotel California. So that would be my main guitar, and then the Squire would be my backup, and it costs us $1,000. I have $2 back, and that is new price.
Interesting.
You
both of you have very good answers, but I think but I think you haven't considered one thing.
Okay,
and I'll give you my answer, and then I think maybe you'll consider what maybe you should have considered. So for the backup guitar, I think I kind of agree with you guys, and kind of similar that you need to get something similar to what you are used to, right? You're used to a Squire, you're used to a Strat, right? So I would basically find another good Squire. It's used, obviously, and the reason I'm going used is because I need to have money for the other thing I want to buy. And I would go for the other one, also used, but I will probably, if the budget is 1,000, probably the used Squire will cost me like 200, 250, like something similar to what I had. That's going to be my backup. I would have just used it as a backup, honestly, if it hadn't been broken. I would get a used PRS SE, hollow body, piezo. And the reason I would get the piezo is, think of the range. What if I need to do acoustic? So I have a Strat to do my single coil sounds, and I have a humbucker guitar, which is the PRS hollow body SE with a piezo in case I need to do acoustic.
Makes sense. That makes sense.
That was the reason why. So this is what I would literally do. Backup, I would just get what I had. It's a shame it got broken. I'll find something similar. Somebody looking to let go. There are a lot of them in the market because choirs are basically, some people start playing guitar, then they decide they don't want to play. So you really get very good used deals on these starter guitars, so to speak. And I'm used to it. I know exactly what to do with it. But I would go and get a hollow body.
Yep.
Hollow body.
That's a good answer actually.
Yeah,
I think
so-
what we didn't think about was the fact that sometimes you need to have that acoustic sound. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the main reason why.
Yeah, I have
You
different-
can still get away. You can just do something with your processor.
I have different thinking, but yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
please,
like, that's
please share your thinking. That's the whole point.
No, the thing is that like there's a lot of assumptions that we made, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I listed some of the assumptions
Yeah,
before,
yeah.
and the thing is that a hollow body tune or hollow body, that
Yeah.
we're talking about,
Yeah.
it actually plays and it sounds very different than a Strat, right? So of course, if you're saying that, okay, I would like to get away from the familiarities, and to get
Yeah.
into a new sonic territories, fantastic.
Yeah.
But basis that I was a one guitar person. I'm probably not very adventurous. I'm just thinking, So maybe getting somewhere.
Maybe you didn't have money. I was the one guitar person for 10
Probably,
years.
or maybe just don't, I just don't have money, So I would take maybe a baby step, Okay, I'm going to go HFS, which is FH3,
HSS.
which is not
Yeah.
a traditional single coil, and then one step at a time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get more money, man. I mean, like
Yeah.
there's gonna be money
Correct.
to be had.
Well, you have gigs, right? Yeah.
So
Yes.
I'll tell you something that happened to me, right? So basically, when I had one guitar, right, I used to play these gigs, and then we were asked to make we were asked to play in a bar, in Tanjong Pagar. Tanjong Pagar is the office district here in Singapore, and we were supposed to do an acoustic duo. So my friend had a acoustic guitar with a piezo. I did not have an acoustic guitar with a piezo, and also we didn't want to just do acoustic. We wanted to do some, put some nice electric sounds as well. So at the end of the day, we made the wrong decision. But I don't make this. We went with one acoustic, one electric. But the problem with that is if both of you are strumming and doing rhythm, there's a huge variation. If he's strumming and I'm strumming and he stops strumming, it doesn't mesh together. So then I was like, I wish I had that's kind of where the whole journey for me started. I wish I could just get that because I realized that piezo is electronic. This is before I was into guitars and such. I was like, if I could only have electric guitar that could do the same piezo sound,
Yes.
and then I can just keep switching, right? So it was a very practical thing. So
Yeah.
that was kind of the reason why. And maybe today with all the processors and all, you can probably get something similar.
Yeah, but it does. I mean, like the great
Yeah.
thing is that once you have this added capability, right?
Yeah.
You can actually do a lot more things.
Yeah.
Which is also important
Yeah.
if you're
Yeah.
playing cover bands.
Okay, to go in a very different direction. Greatest living guitarist living today. Who do you think it is? Why?
Okay.
And we'll argue with you for sure. Let's go ahead.
Okay.
Zac.
All right. So, considering, I would say it is Slash. Okay, it's not a very surprising answer, I think.
Really? Okay.
I think
Greatest
so.
slash.
I think it's
Okay.
greatest living
Okay.
person. Yeah, okay. So to me, right, I mean, like, is that the person that I would go to, where I listen to guitars and all that, right? No. But if you're talking about the greatest guitarist alive, I would say that it's him. Like, he's iconic. He's the definition of a guitarist. He did bring Gibson back from the dead, like during the 80s. And also, he keep himself relevant. After so many years, he's still like kind of at the top there, and his Sweet Child of Mine is one of the band songs that you can't really play in the guitar.
I'm a little traumatized by Sweet Child of Mine.
Exactly.
Both by playing
Exactly.
it. Both by playing it and
Yes.
hearing it. But yes, I know what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
experience and new players, you play that. Of course, we will also say that, another band song is Stairway to Heaven,
Yeah.
But then to me, I think Slash is a little bit more iconic than Jimmy Page. Maybe it's also because of my age. But I love Jimmy Page model, so that's
No,
me.
I think you're right because you think of it when people think of rock star, if they want to go for rock star thing, what do they do? They get a top hat and they get that thing.
Exactly.
So
And they get a Les Paul.
yeah, let's ball little
It is
balloon.
in the Halloween costumes. Okay,
That's when you know you made it.
That's how iconic he is. Right?
That's when you know you made it.
Yes, you don't get like Jimmy Page costumes.
That's true.
Well, the fact of the matter is that Slash is definitely a legend. I think we cannot discount that. His melodies and his licks are so popular, so legendary, right? It's everybody learns them, even the younger generation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though the songs were written so long ago,
Yeah.
even the millennials, the Gen Zs, and it's music is timeless, right? And
Yeah.
he is one of them. Now, for me, I think I look at this question in a different way. I think basically, to me, the greatest guitarists are those that are innovative trailblazers that create a new space.
Okay.
I think classically it would be somebody like Joe Satriani, where he started out with the virtuoso kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
He started that trend where instrumental
Yeah.
music
Yeah.
and using Lydian mode, Dorian mode as
Yeah. Yeah.
as part of his music and popularizing those
Yeah.
kind of sounds.
Yeah.
I think that period in the 80s, I think he was probably the most innovative guitarist at that point in time, and of
Yeah.
course influenced Steve Vai as well, and many other guitarists to go into that kind of like instrumental kind of approach.
Yeah.
But today, I would say in the same spirit, in the same footsteps of Vai, of Satriani, would be definitely be Tim Henson.
Tim Henson. Interesting.
Tim Henson actually is for those that don't know, is actually one of the guitarists in Polyphia, which is an instrumental rock band, right? Which you can imagine doesn't really exist. I mean, it's not really popular, but he made the instrumental music popular again.
Yeah.
And the way that he plays the guitar is very different from
Yeah.
all the other guitarists. He hardly does any bends. He uses nylon string guitars in his
Yeah.
solos. A lot of arpeggios that are not common.
Yeah.
Making his music very, very unique and different. Right.
Yeah.
He's creating fundamentally a style of rock music for this generation, and I think that is very admirable.
Yeah. No, I have to say that Tim Henson is probably the most influential new guitarist of the last 7 to 8 years, for sure.
Yeah.
I think there's no doubt. And, if you look at it's so in the moment, because you think of the way what he does, if you think of what's like, I don't know if you guys know this, you probably do, that lo-fi beats has become a massive industry.
Yes.
Right? And it's this kind of a background music, lots of variation. It's mix of a little bit of hip hop, a little bit of melodic.
Yeah.
And Tim Henson is really, if you look at what he's doing, this is a new kind of instrumental.
Yes.
So I do agree that he's influential. Greatest living guitarist? I have a different answer, but
Of course, I mean, all of us will have definitely different answers.
That's why it's interesting, right?
Yeah.
All three of us together.
yeah, I think you guys already know what it is because you know how biased I am about this.
So, okay,
But
go on.
see, I'm thinking about what's happening, right? What makes us human, right? So what's happening is that most of the instruments, and guitar is probably the least one, but most of the instruments can easily be replicated through non-humans, right? Through whatever. You can have pretty good drum programming. Most people cannot tell the difference. I'm sure a drummer can tell, but 99.9% people can't. Even piano, whatever keyboards you can have. Even when it comes to guitars, AI cannot perfectly replicate the way guitar solo is, but honestly, if you had a person who can play exactly like Slash, there are a few people, they can do a pretty spot-on cover of Sweet Child of Mine.
Yeah.
And the way Tim Henson's music is designed is it's a question of speed and harmonic spread. It can be replicated both. I think it's probably a little easier for AI to replicate it as well because it's really a very, it's really about that dexterity, right? But I'm trying to think of, is there a guitarist that actually, you can see the tab of what he's playing. You can see this is 7 bend 9 or whatever it might be. But nobody can exactly replicate. The moment you hear, like if I play 7 to 9 on the G string, you will, this sounds like me. But he'll just play 7 to 9 on a G string. And then you will know immediately who it is. That is a very difficult thing to replicate. And it's not that you just know who it is. It sounds better than anyone else playing 7 to 9. That is the point. Right? Maybe I can play 7 to 9, but it sounds so bad, but you know it's me. And for me, that's why the answer, because it's so going back to this music, emotion, humanity. You know the answer?
No idea, man. I mean, there's so many.
David Gilmour. David Gilmour.
Oh, okay.
David Gilmour. It has to be. Like he released, it's a song I've been just listening to on loop. He did it with his daughter. It's called Between 2 Points. And the solo is so simple. It just begins. He literally, the first 10-second solo, he's just playing the 2 notes I was saying. And then he has a bend from B to, what is it? B, C sharp D.
Yeah.
right? It's on the B minor scale, right? And it's just him. And I've looked at so many covers, and not just this song. Any song of his, there's no point looking at the tab because you can never get the speed of the bed, whatever. And he's quite influential as well, right? Because if I think of Pink Floyd in general, right? As far as great living bands are concerned, maybe it's a cultural thing as well. I don't know how big Pink Floyd is, how big it was in Hong Kong, how big it was in Malaysia. But at least where I come from, and even where a lot of people had encountered, Pink Floyd is just so big. And he's still alive, and he's still making the similar kind of music even now.
Yes.
That's why for me, like Jimmy Page is amazing, but I think he's not really making the kind of music he used to. But David Gilmour's pretty much still making amazing music. So that's why for me, the answer has to be...
He is a fantastic guitarist for sure. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah. So that's why for me, it has to be David Gilmour. But everybody's heard of David Gilmour. Everybody's heard of Tim Henson. Everyone's heard of Slash. Definitely Slash.
Definitely Slash.
But what have people not heard of? So, one of the interesting things that we hope to have in this is, we love rock and roll music. We know all the bands. But reality is that none of us live in North America or Western Europe. Zac has lived. I have, of course, worked for an American company for the longest time. So we are from this particular part of the world, right? From slightly different parts of the east of the world, the far east as you would think of it. So let me assure you that there is some pretty good guitar-based music happening over here. Hong Kong has an incredible few bands, for sure, in particular. So I want to ask you guys to recommend, and even to me, honestly, it's a recommendation because I'm not, for example, that much into Hong Kong music or even Japanese music, a little bit perhaps. Why don't you recommend a great song, a great rock song, or a great guitar song from this part of the world, which is very iconic here, but likely nobody in the West has heard of? Zac, maybe we'll start with you.
Okay, yes, Utkarsh just mentioned that it was from Hong Kong, so I'm going to bring something from Hong Kong. Okay, so before I go into that, right, there's one song that maybe some of you may know, okay. In Singapore, where we are, right, okay, I had the chance to go to some live music. Okay, and usually we see like a Malay or Indians playing as well. I was very surprised because in the two situations that I went to, they sing the same Hong Kong song in Cantonese, and the singer was a Malay and an Indian.
Yep.
Well, that's not their native language.
That's not their native language.
Just to give some more context, right? So Malay is native people of Malaysia, which is just above us here in Singapore.
They speak Malay, Bahasa.
Yeah, Bahasa, it's a language. And Cantonese, so of course China doesn't just, when you say Chinese, you have to think of what the particular language is. There's Mandarin, there's Cantonese, there's Hokkien.
Yes.
So these are different languages. So yeah, go ahead.
Okay, all right, yeah. So they're saying in a language that they don't speak. They don't usually speak, right? Yeah. And then I did talk to the singer, say, oh, like, what was it about this song? I said, oh, this song so many people likes and so popular, that being in the kind of like circuit, cover band, they need to know how to sing a song. So I was like, okay, so that is kind of eye-opening. So that song is translated, it's called like Open Sky and Wide Sea, something like that. It's from a band in Hong Kong called Beyond. So that song was released in 1992. That has something very special about it. Like if you talk to like people in Hong Kong, most, if not all, would say that, like if there's ever a Hong Kong national anthem, that would be it. That's how famous that's.
What's the name of the song again?
It's called Hoi Fu Tien Hong. It translates into like open sky and wide sea. It's like how big the world is.
Okay, we'll put a link here, and obviously we can't play it because YouTube.
Definitely, yeah. So that is the magnitude of how important that song is, right? Then the song that I am I'm recommending you guys to check out is by another band. Okay, that's called Supper Moment, and the song translated into Limitless. There's no limits, right? It is released in 2014. The link is in there.
Yeah.
It has kind of the same kind of like a influence, but to an entirely different generations of listener and people. The song starts like like you chase a dream, you are young and all that, and then you start to get compromised and adapt to the world. Right? Nothing wrong with that. It's just that that's how it is. But it just kind of remind you that dream chasing is like a lifelong revolution. And because of that revolution part about chasing dreams, right? A lot of people, the Liu Hong Kong people, right, resonate during the unrest in
Of
Hong
course,
Kong.
of course.
Lady.
We all know what happened.
Yes, what happened there, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the significance of the song,
Yeah.
and also I want to add a little bit about the drama of the song is that it was so good, that and also the singer is a pretty good person. They actually that people that asked him to go and run for office
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
in
That's
Hong
amazing.
Kong. But then the band started to sing in Mandarin, and they have concerts in China, and then people start to say, they don't know what the hell are you having.
just
Do
sold
you know?"
out. Done.
Yeah, and they did one of the very bad social thing. They actually went on live,
Oh.
okay, and talk about say, what the hell, like we are playing music, we are talking about dreams and chasing dreams. We are not politics. I have no issue to go into politics and all that. And then they have so many bad raps, and so that.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. That's
But the song is
important.
good.
But the song is good. So check out the
Fantastic.
song.
Yes. Alright,
Okay.
what about you guys?
Okay, so I will talk a bit about this song called Sinaran. Sinaran is a Malay word. It's sung by this lady called Sheila Majid. And it's an old song. I think it was in the 80s. And Sinaran is actually means ray of light or shining, something like that, right? It's a sort of like a love song. And it's actually one of the very, very famous and popular music song in Malaysia and Indonesia. So I don't have much more to say, but other than that, it's amazingly written, and it's very catchy and it's very popular here. So I think do check it out. So that is actually the song that I would like to recommend. But aside from that, I also do listen to a lot of. I do watch like anime, and there are a lot of interesting anime songs that.
Yes,
I
we
would-
need to tap into that side of it.
Yeah. So-
There's so much there.
So much, there's so
So
many.
much,
So
yeah.
basically in Japan, like all those popular songs a lot of them are anime songs, right? So you can think about some of the very interesting ones would be like Blurry Eyes by Lark and Cell. So Lark and Cell is I think if you're in Japanese, you probably know they are the legendary band in Japan, like much like Glay and so that Blurry Eyes is one of the songs that really interesting. You can check that out. And of course, another one which a lot of people will be very familiar with from the anime community would be Tactics by the Yellow Monkey. What's anime's closing theme for Samurai X, or those that are not familiar with Samurai X, Rurouni Kenshin. So Tactics is also another very interesting rock song. So now these songs are like quite interesting in their structure and their melody. They are definitely very rock in nature, but do check them out. Now, outside of these two songs, anime ones, there is a particular band that, a particular group that previously was a group, but now it's a solo act that is very interesting. Also a Japanese act, which is called Superfly. And if you check out her self-titled Superfly album from 2008, I think you'll be surprised at how fantastic those songs are.
Okay, great. We'll put all the links.
Yeah, please put that.
Yeah, and I also need to check out all of them. I'm pretty sure I've heard Beyond.
Beyond is
I'm
super
pretty
pop,
sure. I'm
super
pretty sure when I
yeah.
hear it, I'll know it, right? Given that I live in Singapore.
Yes.
So I have two songs from very different eras. Okay, so I have to start it off with a story. I don't know if you guys know, I've never had a single cigarette in my life.
Ooh,
Not
me
even-
too.
not
Hey,
even
high
one.
five, man.
Okay,
Yay.
Okay, so it's not a
Proud of
coincidence.
it.
So I'm the odd guy out, yeah.
Proud.
It's not a coincidence, nor are we. I mean, it's okay. You can do whatever you want with your life,
course.
right? It's just I'm just saying my particular
Of course.
case, and here's the reason why. On national television, when I used to be a kid, they used to play There was a very interesting commercial with a song. It was called "Cigarette in My Hand," and the chorus was, "With a cigarette in my hand, I felt like a man," because that's why it's cool to have a cigarette. And then it ends. It's basically a music video. There's a guy. He grows up through high school, starts work, and he gets into cigarette smoking in high school. Goes through the whole thing, and at the end of it, of course, he gets lung cancer, and then he's coughing. And then the last line, "A cigarette in my hand, I was a dead man." It's a very distinctive song. I didn't think much of it. Then I think maybe 10, 15 years later, but it kind of stuck with me, right? At a very young age, maybe 3 or 4 years old, I was watching this and it kind of struck with me. That's why I never really got into it.
Propaganda works.
Propaganda works, you could say. So as it turns out, turns out the person who did this song and the person's voice, and I heard it again maybe 2000, maybe when I was 18 or 19, right? I heard it again. And turns out the person who did this, so there was a guy who was an incredible rock singer. He was probably India's best rock singer. Now the problem is, remember we were talking about earlier, India was relatively socialist till the 90s. So in the 80s, there wasn't, especially Western, this kind of rock, which is a whole American kind of a concept, wasn't really that much. It was there among some people in India. So he never really made it dramatically big. The Cigarette in My Hand is one of the songs he did as commissioned by the government, but he was an incredible singer. In fact, I've seen him live because what he does now, he's retired. He comes and he sings everything from Frank Sinatra to Jim Morrison to modern songs. He's that good, including Bollywood. His name is Gary Lawyer. He was the original Indian rock star from the 80s. Not only was he into music, he was massively into bikes. He's like driven all around the US and stuff like that. So Cigarette in My Hand it's a normal song. There's nothing musically particular about it, but the voice and the thing. I highly recommend it. You will not have the same nostalgic association, but you will see, wow, it's a pretty good voice. And this person in a different scenario, in a different country, in a different thing could have been probably one of the biggest rock singers, that kind of quality. So that's one. The second one, which I find very interesting, is, Indian music is very, very melodic. And metal and rock rock can be slightly melodic, but metal definitely tends to be has a lot of intensity. And what I'm always looking for is, how do you have both the beauty and the beast? How do you have both the intensity and melodic? And if I look at certain bands that do it, a lot of power metal bands like Nightwish or people do that, but it's a very, very Western classical music base. Think of it's kind of based on, say, Wagner or who's the person who does the seasons? Forgetting that. Whatever. I think Vivaldi, right? But the scales used in India are very, very different. So what we have is a song called Navarasam. It's by a band called Thaikudam Bridge. It's in a language that I also don't understand because India has 30 plus languages. It's in Malayalam, which is from the south of India. The music video is basically an analogy for how the modern world is kind of killing all the ancient arts, right? Because all the traditional art forms are dying. So it's a very interesting music video. If you think the song you will simultaneously say it is brutal and it is simultaneously beautiful. And there's nothing like it. I think none of Nightwish's songs even have that level of beauty and brutality at the same time. So it's so beautiful that you could play it to your grandmother because it's such a beautiful song. Yet it is so beautiful. Yet it is so brutal that you play it to a metalhead and they'll be like, wow, and what's going on? The guitar solo is just incredible. So that's the one I would recommend. It's Navarasam by Thaikudam Bridge. Yeah. So there we go. I think we're going to wrap it up around here.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think. Please give us another question for a 2-guitar studio. Think of any wacky kind of situation. I'm sure we'll be more than up for it. But yeah, do give us your feedback. So how was it, guys? Our first Ministry of Guitar podcast.
Yeah, it was definitely fun.
We didn't fight, so that's good.
We may in the future, but
the tone was one, no promises.
Yeah, but we did start a lot of okay, so we're gonna have another episode or something else.
Yeah, I remember when I said fretboard, I got the tension in the room just went up. What do you think? But great, thank you for joining, and we'll see you again next week.
bye guys.